Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Applied Behavior Analysis Virtual Information Session. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. I also have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, and she will introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya McMillan. I am an admissions coordinator here at the School of Education. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
We also have a student speaker joining us today, Jia Wang. And lastly, we'll have professor and faculty lead for the special education program, Dr. Tamara Martyr, joining us today. And before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We'll be able to share the link to the recorded video within 1 week. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual information session. We'll start the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Martyr will go over the details of the ABA programs. We also have a student speaker, and she'll talk about her experience in the program. We'll wrap it up with admissions requirements, go over financial aid and scholarship, and we'll leave the floor open for questions at the end. For school enrollment, we have approximately 1,741 students. And we are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. We offer 25 graduate programs, and that includes our doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. And we have a strong network of over 24,000 SOE alums. Here on the slide, you'll see the faculty members for the Special Education Department, Dr. Rebecca Cruz, Dr. Tamara Martyr, and Dr. Alexandra Shelton. Dr. Martyr is the faculty lead for the Special Education program here at the School of Education. She has worked in the field of applied behavior analysis since 1994. Her research interests include improving learning outcomes for students with developmental disabilities and autism through effective training and preparation of educators and professionals who provide educational services. This includes training educators on implementing evidence-based practices with fidelity and preparing special educators in the field of applied behavior analysis. And at this time, I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Martyr.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Martyr. So excited to be with you today to talk about our ABA programs. So thank you for attending. I'm going to start out by talking a little bit about what applied behavior analysis is. And so really, majority of you are here because you know a little bit about ABA and you want to learn more. That's why you are hopefully applying to graduate school in applied behavior analysis. But when we think about ABA, we're really thinking about the scientific study of the principles of learning and behavior. So why humans do what they do. And when we think about applied behavior analysis, we're really looking at the systematic approach for applying those principles so that we can understand behavior and improve socially important behavior for all individuals. One important piece of this program is that allows graduates to be eligible to sit for the board certification to become a board certified behavior analyst, or a BCBA. And one thing that is important to know that this is a graduate level certification in behavior analysis. And we see BCBAs working in a variety of settings, in educational settings, in a variety of roles. So the different settings, educational settings that we see BCBAs working in are K through 12 public, as well as private schools, center-based programs, home-based programs, school consultation agencies. So a wide variety of settings. And I will say that most of the students who have enrolled in our program are really represent these different settings. We also have folks in a variety of different roles within education. So behavior specialists, teachers, school psychologists, and again, you see the list in front of you. And most of our graduates have also been in a variety of roles that you see here. So we see BCBAs across education in a variety of different roles. The next slide talks about some of the services that behavior analysts provide within these types of settings. So anywhere from conducting behavioral assessments, making database decisions, a very important role for behavior analysts, writing plans, as well as monitoring those plans, and then making revisions to those plans based on the data. That's where those database decisions come in. Another important aspect of being a behavior analyst in an educational setting is being able to train others to implement those interventions and strategies. So being able to not only maybe have an impact on the behavior of our students, but also to have an impact on the adults who are working and educating those students. So we're not just changing behavior of students, we're also changing the behavior of all of those individuals involved in education. Behavior analysts also oversee the implementation of treatment plans. And again, being familiar with the behavior analyst certification board, you know that we have a 5th edition task list that really outlines all of these specific tasks and skills that behavior analysts need to be competent in. So within our program, we address all of these areas and looking at the types of services that behavior analysts provide and how we train our graduates to meet those needs. So if you're thinking about applying to our program, it's important to note that behavior analysts are in high demand. So there is high demand, employment demand for folks to have this certification and training and to meet the needs of individuals across the US. So we see the Behavior Analyst Certification Board creates a report of job employment or employment demand. And you can see that we've seen since 2010, we've seen this big increase in the demand for behavior analysts. And from 2020 to 2021, this report came out in 2022. There's been a 38% increase in job postings. And we also see that highest in California, Massachusetts, Texas, Florida, and Illinois. And for folks within the direct vicinity of Johns Hopkins, so I added a few of those states, and you can see that there's obviously an increasing rate. So this position or this certification is in high demand across both the private sector and public schools as well. So when thinking about ABA programs, right, so we've talked a little bit about what the outcomes are, and we think a little bit about what the demand is for this certification. But now let's talk a little bit about what you need to do to become certified as a behavior analyst. So the visual on the right-hand side of your screen shows 4 separate steps. The first step is having a master's degree. So that's the first requirement to become board certified. The second requirement is to take specific ABA coursework. The third requirement is to gain experience through field work. And then the fourth requirement is to pass that exam, pass that BCBA exam. So within Hopkins, within our School of Education, we offer all of those opportunities to move on to applying to the BACB to eventually pass that BCBA exam. So you can do this through 2 programs at Johns Hopkins. One is our master's program in special education with an emphasis in ABA. And our second is our postmaster's certificate in applied behavior analysis. So obviously the master's program allows you to tick off those first 2 circles there of getting your master's degree and completing the ABA coursework. Those who are interested, who already have their master's degree, but are interested in taking the ABA coursework, you can do that through our postmaster's certificate in ABA. Both programs offer the 7 core ABA courses, which are 21 credits. Those courses have all been verified by the Association for Behavior Analysis International, which really verifies all of our syllabi to ensure that our coursework meets the BACB requirements for coursework. The master's program goes on to offer an additional 5 special education courses, and combining those courses along with the ABA courses creates those credits for to earn a master's degree. I will give you guys an example of a course sequence that looks at both of these programs and when the courses are offered and how they're set up. Both programs, if we can go back to that slide, thank you. Both programs are can be completed in 2 years. And we also offer the fieldwork experience, that third circle you see there, that third requirement. We offer our field the opportunity to complete the fieldwork experience through elective courses. So this is not required. Our practicum electives are not required to graduate from their program, but they do offer you the opportunity to enroll in those practicum courses to accrue those fieldwork hours as outlined by the BACB in order to apply to the Behavior Analyst Certification Board to sit for the exam. So I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on those practicum electives. But if we go on to the next page, I think the next slide is about the verified course sequence. I talked about this, that the Association for Behavior Analysis International does verify all of our coursework. We apply for that verification every single year, but our current courses meet the 5th edition coursework requirements as outlined by the BACB. Okay, our next slide goes into the program format. So our program is really designed to meet the needs of the working professional. So the majority of our students work full-time and they go to school in the evenings. Our programs, both the master's in special ed and the postmaster's certificate, are offered in a hybrid fashion. So that means that you can elect to either join us in person at the Applied Physics Lab here in Laurel, Maryland, or you can also join us synchronously by Zooming into that class in the evening. So, so you would be, if you're joining us synchronously, you'd be joining a course that's happening in person, and we have students who attend in person as well as synchronously online. The 5 special ed courses are offered either as fully asynchronously online or in person. And for the master's program, courses are offered during the fall, spring, and summer. And I'll show you that course sequence and what it looks like. And then the postmaster's certificate is only offered during the fall and spring. There are no summer courses for that. And the program is set up for students to go to school part-time, which means that they are taking 2 classes per semester. So on the slide in front of you are some of our learning outcomes that both of our programs address. So really being able to understand those principles of behavior analysis and apply those principles to real-world examples, using research methods or single case design to evaluate our programs that we write, data collection, how to collect data and make those data-based decisions, and then how to make changes to instructional delivery as well as behavior reduction programming. Another outcome is that students who graduate from our program are able to design, implement, and evaluate those instructional programs based on assessment results, or design, implement, and evaluate behavioral programming or behavior reduction plans or behavior intervention plans that are based on assessment results. Another learning outcome of our programs are to be able to behave ethically as a behavior analyst. And what does that entail? And what are those professional behaviors that we want all of our behavior analysts to have as they practice in the field? And then another outcome is being able to implement, manage, and practice behavior analysis in a variety of educational settings. And finally, the ultimate outcome is that all students who come through our program pass that BCBA exam. Okay, I think our next slide talks about the practicum. So our practicum are designed to meet the fieldwork hours for concentrated experience fieldwork. So if you're familiar with this fieldwork experience that is required through the BACB to be eligible for certification, there are 2 types of fieldwork hours. You can do just fieldwork experience, or you can do concentrated experience. The concentrated experience entails a total of 1,500 hours, whereas the fieldwork experience is 2,000 hours. So people get really excited about the concentrated because they think, oh, it's less hours, no brainer. But there's that important word there that says concentrated. So concentrated means that you actually have double the supervision. So we provide that through our practicum electives by being able to offer supervision not only from an individual BCBA for 1.5 hours a week, but also to be able to provide 1 hour of group supervision through our coursework. So that way you are getting that 10% of your hours supervised during each semester. Our practicum electives, there are a total of 4, and in each semester you can accrue 375 hours. You multiply that by 4, gives you your 1,500 hours of supervised experience. We provide, as part of the practicum electives, we do provide the opportunity to have those supervised experiences in an educational setting. We have a practicum coordinator who helps all of our students coordinate their practicum experience to ensure that their practicum sites are meeting the BACB requirements, that you have a board certified behavior analyst who supervises you. We provide that behavior analyst. We train that behavior analyst. We follow curriculum for all of our courses. And our practicum, a really important piece of our practicum is that it can be planned according to your current place of employment, as long as 1, you are located in the Maryland area, and 2, your practicum placement meets those requirements outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board for an appropriate placement site. And that's what our practicum coordinator helps you determine. Students can enroll in anywhere from 1 to all 4 of the practicum electives. So there's no requirement that you have to do all 4. You could just do 1 or 2 or 3. All of our practicum requirements follow the experience fieldwork that was put into place in January 2022. Okay, our next slide talks about the course sequence. So the first slide that you are seeing here is the Master's in Special Ed with the emphasis in emphasis in Applied Behavior Analysis. And this is what we call our autism track. So all of these courses are the combined ABA coursework and autism courses. All of our autism courses that we offer here at the School of Education are offered online, and they're offered asynchronously, meaning that the asynchronous coursework that you follow modules throughout the 15-week semester, and you go through it on your own, completing assignments and doing group activities with your peers, but it's all delivered asynchronously. Whereas all the ABA courses are delivered in person or synchronously. And then you can see, we also, what I don't have shared because it's just so much information, is our ABA with a general special ed track. So if anybody is interested in taking those courses, you should reach out to me and we can talk about the details of what that course makeup would be. The next slide outlines the postmaster's certificate. So I'm sorry, can you go back to the slide before? I apologize, for the master's. You can see that it is designed to be a 2-year program. If you add on those 4 electives for the practicum, then it would add that 3rd additional year. And then obviously, if you're not taking the practicum, then you would only have those 2 years of coursework. With the postmaster's certificate on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about the ABA courses. So the first semester of the first year, the fall semester of the first year, the two foundational courses. So each of the ABA courses build upon each other. So this semester, the Intro to ABA and the Research Methods courses are prerequisites for every other course within the program. And so each course builds upon itself with scope and sequence. So we have the Intro to ABA course and the Research Methods course. And I always say this first semester of the first year of the program is like moving to a new country and learning the language. So we spend a lot of time really understanding the concepts and principles of applied behavior analysis in the intro course. And then in the Research Methods course, we're really focusing in on how do we use that data collection? How do we design to evaluate, how we use single subject design to evaluate our programming and make those database decisions. And then in the spring semester of the first year, we focus in on how do we address interfering behaviors in the classroom. So we look at behavioral assessment from functional behavior assessments, functional analyses, all the way through developing an intervention to address the function of that behavior. And then the other course that semester is our ethics course, which really delves into what are our ethics, what are a code of ethics, understanding, and how to apply those code of ethics to real world situations, as well as how do we prepare ourselves as professionals in the field of behavior analysis. In the second year of the program during the fall semester, we then delve into instructional strategies. So how do we assess for needed skills in our students? And then how do we develop interventions to address and teach those skills? So when we're thinking about behavior reduction from the spring semester, moving into the fall semester with instructional strategies, a lot of the times we see those strategies go together, right? So if we're decreasing a behavior that might be interfering in the classroom, we also want to teach a new behavior and that matches that function. So it's always important not to just reduce a behavior, but teach a new behavior that can still match that function and get that student what they need from their environment. So, but we decide to separate those two out, even though they go hand in hand, because there's so many strategies and so many aspects to address with both behavior reduction as well as skill acquisition and instructional strategies. If you're enrolling in practicum, then that would happen during the fall semester of that second year. In both programs, the practicum electives are designed to happen after the first year of the program. So after you've gotten those first 4 foundational courses, intro to ABA, research methods, ethics, which is so important to our practice, and then behavioral assessment. According to the BACB, as soon as you start taking coursework, you can enroll, you can start accruing your fieldwork hours. Within the Hopkins program, we've decided to start offering the practicum electives after those first 4 foundational courses. It really matches with the curriculum that we offer here within our program. If you are not taking the practicum electives during the fall semester of the second year, then you would take applications of ABA in the classroom. And if you're not doing practicum during the second year, spring semester, then you would also, that would be the last class, is that supervision and consultation course. So I want to talk about those 2 courses. The supervision and consultation course is our newest course in our program. We offered it for the first time this past semester. I think it's been going very well from what I hear. And this supervision course is really looking at not only do we have to develop interventions for the students that we serve to help improve outcomes in learning, but we also have to train other people how to implement those interventions. So this really talks about how do we supervise others. So as BCBAs, how do we consult in a variety of educational settings to teach others and to help others improve the outcomes for our students. Also, another piece in growing our field is being able to supervise behavior analysts, future behavior analysts. So those who go through our program then can start thinking about how they can help the field or improve the field by supervising others. So we spent a lot of time talking about that in the supervision and consultation practices course. The last course is that applications of ABA in the classroom. This is a really great course because it's really talking about all these special issues of ABA in education. So we talk about in this course about ABA in autism, or ABA in early intervention, or ABA in using extinction in a classroom setting. What are the ethics of using extinction in a classroom setting? We also talk about in this course, so that's the first half of this course. The second half of this course is spending time preparing for the BCBA exam. So in the second half of that course, we break down the 5th edition task list. We go item by item. We learn each, you've been learning each of those through each of the task list items throughout all of the courses here, because the courses are designed to align with the 5th edition. But we delve into how do we define, how do we create questions and answer questions. So we take a lot of quizzes, we practice a lot of questions, we write our own questions, and we practice some study skills that will take you beyond this semester to help you prepare for the exam. So those are our course sequences. I know I'm giving a lot of information, so we'll definitely be able to address any of the questions that you have when we get to our Q&A at the ends. Next slide is some additional information. So once you go through all 12 courses, that's the ABA and the special ed courses, you can receive the MS, the Master's in Special Ed and ABA. If you are doing the Postmaster's certificate, once you finish all 7 courses, you can receive that Postmaster's certificate. If you elect to do the fieldwork hours with us through the practicum, or you elect to do it on your own. So some of our students are able to do those supervision hours on their own because they are working in a place where supervision is established within their placement or within their place of employment, and they have BCBA supervising them already. But upon successful completion of all those fieldwork hours, either the 1,500 or the 2,000, then students are eligible to apply to the BACB to become board certified, to take that exam and become board certified after supplying all the documentation. It's really important to point out that Johns Hopkins does not award that certification. We do award that degree once it's completed, but we do not award certification to students in applied behavior analysis. It is expected that students will apply to the BACB to become a board certified behavior analyst. So it's important, one, that you do know that you do need to apply to the BACB, but also that it is expected that students who go through our program do plan to become a BCBA in the future. Okay, next slide. Okay, so some advantages, and then soon I'm going to hand things over to Gia, who's going to talk about our program and her experiences within our program. The advantage of this program, both programs, both the Postmasters and the Masters, is that we're really focusing on ABA and education. So within all of our courses, we are addressing issues within educational settings for all types of students and all types of disability characteristics. This is not an ABA and autism program. We're not training all of our behavior analysts to work with students with autism. So we really are, the focus really is ABA and education, applying ABA across educational settings. Another advantage of our program is that students who complete the program pass the exam. So of our 70 students, 69 graduates have become board certified. This is a 99% pass rate, which really includes both first and second time candidates. The BACB reports on first time pass rates. So this is a 99% pass rate. So students, we've had a few students who have not passed the exam. Generally, the majority of our students pass the exam the first time around. Those who don't still are able to pass it the second time around. As you are probably aware, the pass rate for this exam is quite low. It's around 64%, I think, right now. Our students are passing way above that national pass rate. Another advantage of our program is the offering of the practicum. We've developed this practicum over the last 10 years. So we have a full curriculum that we follow. We have supervisors that we provide who are trained by us. There is coursework that's associated with the practicum, the experience associated with the course, but it's also individualized. So it's important to point out that all of our students who enter our program are entering at different skill levels within the field, not only in special ed, but applied behavior analysis. So the practicum is really individualized for each student. So you come in with a certain skill set and we meet you where your goals are. So it's really important that each student is developing their own goals within the field and own goals for professional development as it applies to accruing those fieldwork hours. Final advantage that I want to talk to you about is our faculty. All of our faculty are board certified behavior analysts at the doctoral level. They're also all practicing behavior analysts. So they are practicing during the day and then they are coming here to Hopkins to teach you in the evenings. So our faculty are a great advantage to the program. Okay, next slide, our milestones of the program. So we've been around since 2013. So next fall will be our 10th year offering this program. We've had 84 graduates from our program that represent a variety of educational professionals. We talked a little bit about this in the beginning, from special educators, behavior specialists, school psychologists. We have a speech and language pathologist who's graduating this year, administrators, as well as instructional specialists. So a variety of different roles. We've had 7 cohorts complete the program. 69 have gone on to be board certified. Within the state of Maryland, you can become a licensed behavior analyst. So 43 of our students have gone on to become LBAs within the state of Maryland. If you're not within the state of Maryland, you should check out within your state if there's the opportunity for licensure within your state, and definitely find out what's required for that licensure, because once you are a board certified behavior analyst, in many states you need to be licensed to also practice behavior analysis. And then finally, I'm going to turn things over to Gia, who is a graduate of our program. She graduated from our master's program with an emphasis in autism in 2018. This is before we had a master's program in applied behavior analysis. And then she came back to us after that master's program and enrolled in our postmaster's certificate in 2021. And she is now a board certified behavior analyst working in a local school district in Howard County Public Schools, working with students with autism. And I'm going to turn things over to Gia, who's going to talk to you about your experience. And as she is talking, please make sure to make note of any questions you might have for her and to ask at the end, because she can guide you on all of those questions you might have about studying or taking courses or balancing course load, as well as working full-time. So Gia, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Marder. Hello, everyone. My name is Gia Wang. I went to Hopkins as a desperate immigrant parent right after my daughter's diagnosis with autism at the age of 3. And my initial intention was to learn something so I can support my daughter in her daily life. And now after the master program and postmaster ABA program, I want to say going to Hopkins was the best decision I made in my life. I became a mommy therapist for my daughter, and she's now in a gen ed classroom with minimal support. And myself is on the journey of helping more kids and families as a special educator. So at my current job, I collect data and work together with our school psych to develop and implement behavior intervention plans for friends with IEP. I work in the PBIS committee to help develop school-wide positive behavior intervention and supports. And I also created a work choice system to work more efficiently and to reduce burnout for our staff. At the same time, I use self-recording and self-management for myself to increase my productivity. So I want to say this postmaster program did not only equip me with a skill set in behavior analysis, but also a different way I see things and people in this world. Something that surprised me from this program was the extra attention and time I got from the faculty. I still remember it was in my second year within the program, I was doing my practicum, and then COVID hit us. So my work visa was not renewed on time. All of a sudden, I could not work. And that means I couldn't get the practicum hours on time. So my mentor and practicum supervisor, they held a meeting on the second day and worked out a creative solution for me. So I could continue my practicum in the original time frame. So I graduated in May, and I scheduled the exam in July. And I mean, together with our classmates, we didn't prepare that much for that exam because we were like, we are ready. And from that 2-year training, we feel like we are ready for the exam. So I want to say Hopkins is a large university with great reputation and amazing resources. At the same time, it is very small that you can receive individualized attention from the faculty because they care and they want everyone to be successful. If you have any questions, then I'm happy to provide my email, and so you can ask me anytime. All right, I'll hand it back to Dr. Marder.
Thank you, Gia. That was awesome. And I hope student applicants will have questions for you because I think you have a lot of great information to share with them. One question I get a lot from students who attend or applicants who attend our info sessions or information sessions is who's an ideal program candidate? Who are you looking for in this program? The first thing that we are looking for potential students is a demonstration and a desire to commit to this field. So if you are coming to find out more information because you want to get an additional certification, to get a pay raise, to think about promotion within your placement, that's not enough for this program. You have to be willing to understand what applied behavior analysis is and commit to learning the field and practicing within the field. The piece of that is sort of that last line there. So I'm skipping around a little bit on my slide, and that's willing to work and study hard. This is a very work-intensive program. You will be spending a lot of time taking tests, taking quizzes each week, doing a lot of readings, doing a lot of presentations and papers. So we definitely keep you busy throughout the program. And so it is very time intensive. So the other aspect of being an ideal program candidate is knowing the requirements. So understanding all the requirements. So I want to say understanding, not knowing, right? So there's no test when you apply to the program on the requirements. You have to know where to find those requirements as outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. I check that website regularly. So if you are interested in becoming a behavior analyst, make sure that you spend some time on the BACB website reviewing those requirements. And we're here to answer those questions about those requirements because there's a lot to cover there. Of course, our program is aligned with all of those requirements, but it's important for our students, applicants, as well as students who are in our program to be understanding of where those requirements or how to find out more about those requirements. The third is being able to commit to 2 to 3 years of that graduate coursework, that intensive coursework. So this program is 2 years. It's going to be 3 if you decide to do the Practicum Electives with us. And so you have to be able to commit that time. And then finally, being able to meet all the admission requirements. Sion I'm going to hand it over to her in a few minutes, and she's going to talk about those admission requirements for you. And then the next slide. Oh, I don't know if it's Sion or Tanya who's going to be talking about admission requirements, but what's next? Make sure to review those BACB requirements. So if you're planning on applying to our program, make sure to review those requirements, get your application started through our online website, and reach out to me with any questions that you might have. Again, we're going to have a Q&A here in a few minutes, but there's my email. And so please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. I know sometimes with our information sessions, as we log off, folks think about other questions that might have. I'm very approachable. Please do email me. I will respond and hopefully answer all of your questions. I think that's it for me. Okay, great.
Thank you, Dr. Marta and Gia. So now we're going to move on to the admission application requirements. For this program, you do need to have a 3.0 GPA or better cumulative undergraduate grade point average. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found online on our website. The current application fee is $80. Also, we do require all official transcripts from all of the post-secondary institutions you attended are required. We need all of those transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses, but did not receive a degree. Also, an essay and current resume are also required, as well as 2 letters of recommendation, an interview, and also the GRE is not an admission requirement for this program. For international students, there are a few additional steps you may need to take in order to complete the application process. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score, which demonstrates English language proficiency. If your degree was completed outside of the United States, you will need to complete a course-by-course credential evaluation. Additional information for international applicants can be found on our website via the International Student Admissions page. Here you'll see the current tuition and fees associated with the program. The current tuition for the School of Education is $10.25 per credit for face-to-face courses and $1,025 plus a $20 per credit technology fee for online courses. You may also find additional information on tuition and fees on our School of Education website. If you're interested in applying for federal financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your online application by completing a FAFSA form. You'll also find here external funding resources via scholarship.com and teacher.org. Additionally, we do offer a limited number of partial need-based scholarships for fall and spring semesters. At this time, we will open the floor for questions. Please do type your questions in the chat box and we will read your questions aloud and answer them as well. We have one here, Dr. Martin. I'm not sure if you see that. It says, can students have the option to take just 1 or 2 practicum courses instead of 4?
Yes, so absolutely. Thank you, Bria. Great question. Students do have the option to enroll in anywhere from 1 to all 4 of those courses. So it really just depends, you know, where you are with your fieldwork hours and what you're thinking about. The only requirement, one, is that you have a placement that meets the BACB requirements as a fieldwork placement, and that you are in the general Maryland area, DMV area.
It looks like we have another question, Dr. Martyr. It's how many classes per week? What time do classes start?
So yes, our classes are offered 2 a semester. So that's 2 classes a week. So each class only meets once per week. So if you're taking 2 courses a semester, you meet twice a week. Typically right now it's on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the courses are all offered in the evenings. And so the courses are offered from 6 to 9 p.m. Students who are enrolling in the practicum coursework would take, typically would only, because it's still 2 courses a semester, we try to align the practicum course with the given other course so that students would meet the same night. So students who are enrolling in practicum and doing coursework with us only meet once a week during that practicum year. But again, all of our classes are offered in the evening, so starting at 6 p.m. So I see Bria has another question about just taking 1 practicum course. Can you still graduate in 2 years? Yes, you can still graduate in 2 years. Oh, no, I'm sorry. If you think about the course sequence, it might be difficult to graduate in 2 years if you take only 1. It really has to go, we'd have to sit down and look at that and create a plan if you're thinking about only doing 1 or 2 of the practicum courses, because you can, you know, you would still need that additional time because it's part-time. So you can only take 2 courses per semester. And I wouldn't recommend taking more than that if you are working full-time. So that, Bria, may be on a case-by-case basis. So we would have to design that out. My initial gut is that you may need an additional semester after those 2 years if you're going to do that. I think there was another question. It kind of like popped up and disappeared. So I don't know if I missed it. Was there another question?
The question, it wasn't a question, it was just comments saying thank you from Lindsay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. I just saw it flash up on the screen and then it disappeared. Okay, you're welcome, Lindsay.
And while we wait for more questions, Dr. Martyr, we have some frequently asked questions. Where are the classes offered for the postmaster certificate in the ABA program and also for the master's program?
So all of our face-to-face courses, our ABA courses, are offered either face-to-face at the Applied Physics Lab, and that's in Laurel, Maryland, or if you're electing to join our program in the hybrid fashion, so you're out of state maybe, you're not in Maryland and you want to join our courses synchronously, it is really just using Zoom and zooming into our classroom, and zooming into the classroom during that time. So it's either to answer the question, it's either on Zoom, synchronously joining class, or in person at our Applied Physics Lab in Laurel, Maryland.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. The next question is actually, it looks like we have a question. I do not have a bachelor's, but I'm taking the coursework to become an ABA. What undergraduate programs would you suggest taking to prepare for the master's program, or would any bachelor's degree will be fine to apply for the MS program?
Well, that is an excellent question. I would recommend that if you don't yet have your bachelor's, to pursue a bachelor's degree either in psychology or education, special education. That's where a majority of our graduates have done their, that's the fields a majority of our graduates have done. That's an excellent question. So, so whoever posed that question, if you want to talk about that a little bit more through email or set up a time to meet by Zoom, we can talk about what those different options are. That's an excellent question. And so for those who are here with us online, if you have any questions from Gia about, course management, working full-time, I don't know, Gia, as we're waiting for some more questions, do you want to maybe talk a few minutes about sort of how many hours a week you studied, and how did you balance that with work and going to school full-time?
Oh yeah, sure, Dr. Martyr. So I would just say overall, I spend about 10 hours every week on school work, and so that's mostly in the evening. So if you want to do a full-time job in this post-master program at the same time, you would have to give up some time in your evening. But still you can have your life, I remember I set a rule for myself, like on Friday night, I just don't do anything. But from Monday to Thursday, I would spend like 1.5 hours every night after my kids go to bed. And then on the weekend, I will spend a chunk of time on those writing assignments and reading. So overall 10 hours every week. And I had 2 young kids and a full-time job. So in my reading and writing, it's not, as fast as native speakers, but I just manage it. So I think you can do it too. Dr. Martyr, do you have anything else you want me to talk about, or just that time?
I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. We'll see if anybody else has any other questions about that. I see Bria has another question about having a master's degree in library and information science. So Bria, we follow the BACB requirements for master's degree. They do not discern any specific master's degree that is required, but that you do have a master's degree from an accredited university. So that would, as long as it meets the BACB requirements, that would meet the requirements for us.
All right, and Dr. Martyr, the final question I have for you is, are you still accepting applications for the master's program and the postmaster certificate program for fall 2023 start term?
Yes, we are. We look at all of our applications on a rolling basis. So as those applications are completed, the faculty will review those applications. So we still are accepting for fall 23.
All right, so here on the slide, we have some important contact information for my colleague. If you have any questions about your application or the admissions process, please reach out to Ms. Tanya McMillan. Her email and phone number is on this slide. Also, if you have any program-related questions, please reach out to Dr. Martyr, but also Julianne Taylor, Senior Academic Program Administrator, and her email address is on this slide. So it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you to Dr.
There
Martyr.
is
and
another question.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
What was that?
There's another question.
Oh, there's another question. Okay.
Okay, I see here, Bria, how long does it take for you to get into the program? So the process is once the applications are completed, that means that you've uploaded all of your information, but also that we've received letters of recommendation and all transcripts. Then the faculty will all review the application. The next step is then to be invited for an interview. I think that was on the admissions slide talking about the requirements. So from looking at applications to being invited for once the application is complete, to being invited from an interview could take about maybe 3 weeks. And then decisions are made a few weeks after the interview. So, it could take overall, the whole process might take about a month. It really just depends.
All right. Thank you again to Dr. Martyr for the presentation. And thank you to our student speaker, Gia, for being here today. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.